What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here. Today we're doing a brand new video on the Commonwealth of Australia. If you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content with Geopolitical Simulator 5, please let me know down in the comments below what else you want to see. Let me go ahead and get started here. So we have a 0.72% deficit. I remember in the last episode we were actually expanding on it a little bit. We are going to have to go ahead and start doing efforts to reduce the deficit once more, but we also want to encourage growth, so it's going to be kind of like a odd balancing act here. We also have to stay away from items like real estate tax. Maybe I want to increase the employer social security payments, maybe even employee social security payments, just to make sure that things are able to be paid for. We are also maybe going to start to increase the value added tax while decreasing the income tax for middle and low brackets. So we are going to, I think we're pretty good on money here. So let's go ahead and start this episode off with an increase in the value added tax to 11.25%. The target is going to be 12% here. We are not going to be able to get that past the parliament, so let's go ahead and do a flat 11%. That is an $11 billion increase in our revenues here. All right, let's go ahead and propose that and see what the National Assembly and the Senate believe. The ASF does not like it. However, the rest of the Parliament does enjoy the tax, so that is going to be good for us now. I think one of the focuses today is going to be a plan for the military. So we have to start increasing our military presence in the Southeast Asia region. We do have to start gaining allies in Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, Japan. Would be good strongholds to help defend against any potential Chinese military action in the region. But what we need to realize is that we need to start focusing on missiles and equipment. So we could have a strong 300,000 man army here, which is going to be the goal. I would say 300,000 to 500,000 would be preferable. I mean, what is our population here? We have 27 million people in Australia, 500, I would say. Let's shoot for 350,000 first, and then once we get to 350, we can kind of go from there. I think 500,000 may be a little bit overkill, especially for the type of military we're thinking about. I would say by 2030, I want 500. 2030, let's say 400,000 max. That's our 2030 plan. We are going, I believe in the last couple of episodes, we should have bought some nuclear subs from the United States. We did, yes, 5 nuclear subs. I think we could go for 10 at max. We're going to go ahead and start the process here of building up our military. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to do a lot of tanks from the United States. So a lot of this equipment is going to be American made. We do have to buy preferably from the United States as they are giving us a nuclear protection pact. So let's go ahead and just buy most of this equipment from the United States. We're going to go ahead and send this over 500 modern tanks, and then missile launchers. They don't have rank 4s, but rank 3 they should have, yes. So let's go ahead and do, let's say 200 missile launchers here. Level 3 anti-missile batteries. I'm assuming these are going to be the THAAD systems. Let's go ahead and buy, let's say 100. I think 100 would be a pretty considerable investment here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit down on our purchase price. Let's say 175. That's one I want to negotiate. Cannons. Let's do United States. Let's say 500 from the United States. We need to get more cannons. I would say 3,000 cannons could work. I wouldn't even say that. I think 500 should work for now. Maybe 1,000 max. Helicopters. Let's go ahead and head here. Let's go over to the United States, and they have 388. Let's do 100 helicopters from the United States. And drones, we really want to build up our drone fleets. So fighter planes, they want 24.2. Our purchase price is 135. Theirs is 136. I am going to have to go ahead and refuse that with the United States. Drones have been accepted. Cannons were accepted. Helicopters accepted. Negotiation for anti-missile batteries, $27 billion. $250 here. So let's go ahead and reduce that to 200. 215, 220 just to give the United States a little bit of leeway here. Missile launch was accepted and tanks was accepted. All right, so let's go ahead and send that over. And let's see what their response is to the next one. $22.4 billion for our anti-missile batteries, so $220 million per unit. And that is below the United States price, but still significantly higher than ours, unfortunately. But we were able to get a slightly lower price than we were expecting here. Let's go ahead and hit OK. And let's go ahead and go a little bit from here. So we are going to pay for this military increase here. And someone's actually, oh wow, someone's been actually telling me that I need to start increasing my relations with Pakistan. Looks like Pakistan really hates me, so that is going to be a very, very, very tough job to sell here. Maybe a bilateral agreement for student exchanges. We could start off there. I know that actually builds up relations over time. Refused by Pakistan. Has no merit. It is unthinkable to send entire classes of our children to your country with the risk of being exposed to potentially subversive statements. So apparently everyone in Australia hates Pakistan. For my Pakistani viewer that has been telling me that I need to do this, I am sorry. Apparently we may have a lot more difficulty making good relations with Pakistan. We may have to go after considerably better opportunities with India at some point. Let's go ahead and hit house. Rehabilitate 220,000. Yeah, 220. 20,000 houses can be rehabilitated here, so that will actually get rid of all of our housing that is bad. And so then we can go back and we're going to wait for the housing construction to kind of come back. At some point, I do want to do a housing reform. I believe I may have done it a couple of episodes ago, but I had to restart basically because of the new update. Surprise, surprise, they actually update the game. So really, really good to see that. I really do like this version. I think this one is actually worth it more than the other versions. If you guys are still like not sure, I mean, it kind of just depends. Oil tanker port, $1.3 billion. I actually did ask Pericles if the oil tanker port does anything. Basically, it does focus on oil imports, so that way you're able to import more oil. You don't even have to do it via contract. Basically, this promotes the import and export of oil automatically. So that is actually going to be the purpose of the oil tanker port, or just the port in general. So we can do this in Darwin. I think we're going to do one in Darwin, and then we're going to do one in the southern coast as well. Increased our deficit just a slight bit. It was only like $1 billion here. Let's go to oil tanker port, another $1.3 billion. Let's build this. Do we want to build this a little bit to the north so there's not as much travel time? Or do we want to build it to the south? I would say the south. Maybe Newcastle? Newcastle right here. There is a port there already. I mean, these are pretty developed cities and regions, so they may not like it. Hang on. Let's say Newcastle, just to the north of Newcastle. All right, let's go ahead and see the reaction to these new oil constructions. Northern Territory is not a great choice since the region was already sufficiently equipped for its needs. And then Newcastle, we're really bad choice, particularly because there is already a large infrastructure located nearby that meets the needs of this part of the country. Just whatever. Oh yeah, he's talking about the actual port that's right there. Could we have made a better choice here? Probably not, because it's in the same, it's still in NSW, so I think it probably would have been like, nah. It probably would have made the same complaint. But yeah, more oil ports. I mean, it works. I mean, it would help with our oil situation or energy situation.
We can no longer support the policies of a government that goes against our values. So, we will put an end to our agreement and leave the ruling coalition.
And it looks like that the NFI has left our coalition here. You do not hold the majority in parliament to lead the country with confidence. Basically, it'd be preferable to build a coalition, even though it's not required. You must remember that the slightest misstep could result in a censure from parliament. Good luck. So we may just throw away the concept of a coalition for the time being. We're going to run with a minority government at this time if anything occurs and we need to run another election. We did change the law in which we are going to be a majority system now, so we don't have to worry about that if we do. I mean, if anything, I will just force the issue, and we will just go ahead and hit with a new election. And if we get a new election, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll just go ahead and go forward, move on without any type of a coalition at this time. Budget deficit 2.5%. Wow. What's possibly caused that? Could be slump in growth, possibly? No. Trade balance seems to have shot up. Economic attractiveness is the same. Imports are up a lot, but exports are up too. GDP world share. GDP is still going up. 1.68% growth rate. Could possibly have seen a slump in revenue here. Company tax. We're not getting as much of on company tax. Production tax. Value added tax. We're getting the same from value added tax, so that increase. Wait. Did it not go through? Huh. Yeah, the NFI really did not like that whenever we proposed that bill. I guess we're gonna have to wait a little bit, so I guess we lost that coalition for nothing. Time financial transaction tax, liquor tax, plastic packaging tax. Maybe we could just run a deficit for a little bit just to kind of see, but I mean, I'm not comfortable running a 2% deficit here. Let's go ahead and, because I'm thinking that it might just take a minute and it'll go away. Usually that's what it does, but maybe they changed the way that it's calculated. Let's do 7.5. Okay. Yeah, we'll increase it like 0.25% every turn, so just that way we don't have to worry about it. Let's also consider economy, free trade. Who do we have FTAs with? United States, Commonwealth, Indian Ocean Rim Association for regional cooperation, Japan, the UK, Norway. Could we consider a FTA maybe with Brazil? What are our relations with Brazil? Economic relations, 38. Let's go ahead and throw that over there. We're just going to do a minor free trade agreement with them. Let's do here, free trade agreements. Let's go to Brazil, and we'll do a reciprocal agreement. So let's go ahead and throw that over there to Rio, or not Rio, but Brasilia, and see if they accept it. All right. And it looks like we have a message from the Minister of Homeland Security. Prime Minister, the recent trends are not good. Crime is increasing in nearly every area. We are still far from record levels, but it is a cause for concern. Before we start hitting record levels, then what we need to do is that we're going to start to fight crime. So let's go ahead and hit us with, hit Australia. We're going to say additional 50, probably a lot. I always kind of overestimate whenever I think about these things. 25 prisons is going to work. That will actually reduce the occupancy rate and should also help fight crime as well. And let's do 35 prisons. 35 prison, $1.6 billion. 30. 2 months, 9,000 people, 270 places each. And let's go ahead and submit that. And then we will do an amnesty on traffic law or sentences less than 3 months. So very minor issues that got people jailed. So let's go ahead and confirm this. Probably small drug charges, everything like that. Arms sales. Sale subject to a license system. Sale limited to hunting arms, which must adhere to the license system and undergo inquiry. Let's go ahead and throw this to Parliament. People actually like this. It has enough support from Parliament, actually, that I don't even think we should do a referendum. People like it enough to where also, like, I'm not expecting too many protests. I feel like in this case, this should be some type of referendum here. Sale limited to hunting arms, which must adhere to a license system and undergo inquiry. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna do it as a referendum. We're gonna do that as a 84%. Okay, just to make sure that people actually supported it. That way, instead of Parliament doing it, it's literally the people deciding, hey, what should we do with this type of issue. Like, guns are a very, and especially in America, I know it's an odd concept, but guns are a very sacred thing in some countries. Not even just America, but apparently Pakistan as well. They have a huge gun culture. But I feel like that's more appropriate to do it as a referendum instead of just passing it with Parliament, because it's literally the people deciding their own fate. Specific criminalization on street harassment. I'm gonna go ahead and do this as a type of law. Let's go ahead and see 73%, pretty much universal approval from Parliament. Severity of punishments: aggravated robbery, average length of imprisonment imposed. I'm assuming that's, I still wish they would clarify on this. Is that years or is that months? Like, what is this? I'm assuming, I don't even know. 25 years for aggravated robbery? I feel like that's a lot. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like this law because it's very vague, and it's also, I don't like that it's specifically about aggravated robbery. Like, the punishment severity level has an impact on the crime rate, which potential perpetrators being strongly deterred from action in light of the risk of heavier sentences. The citizen is very focused on the idea of justice, and that justice is and the just proportionality of punishments according to the crime. Punishments are determined to be too harsh will be considered an attack on liberties. If I were to put us up to 30, what would that mean? Parliament would be slightly like on it. People are kind of like iffy about it, I guess. They're supportive of it, but they're not really too supportive. Accordance on the Convention Against Torture, we are signed and ratified. Implement system of social credit. Consent age 16. Responsibility of criminal responsibility. 12. Could we reduce it possibly to 12? Could we do it to 13? Can we do it to 13? Some idiot kid who just can't sit there and say, I would say, like, I kind of agree where it is in the United States, where it's like by like 11 or 12, that's whenever they start to say, like, okay, you know what you're doing. by that point to where you know the concept of good and bad. The age of criminal responsibility is the age below which a child is not held responsible for their actions under the penal code when they cannot demonstrate discernment. Thus, the courts turn them over to a system specifically for minors, which, depending on the gravity of the act committed, can take disciplinary actions, placement into a center of care member minors, training course, medical, which is care and treatment, or even administrative sanctions, which is barred for certain places, curfews, etc. 13, I would say 12 is going to be the target here. 13 should be pretty good. And it looks like that Brazil accepted our free trade agreement. We are all on our way to Brazil now, so very scary times indeed, as I would say. Other than Gabe Vogel coming to reap what is his, and then we are going to go ahead and go to immigration. Let's go to detention centers. What is our illegal immigration situation here? 261,000 illegal immigrants are inside of the country right now. They are just flooding in from China and India for some reason. We are going to go ahead and hold off on any major action until the next episode, I would say. I think we're going to be focusing on crime. Well, actually, it's kind of one and the same now that I think about it, because apparently whenever we have large increases in the immigration waves, it's actually connected to the increase in your crime rate. So the more that illegal immigrants really flood into your country, especially at a really fast pace, apparently that increases your crime rates. So they're actually pretty connected. We're gonna go for 125, I would say. No, let's say 100. $2.3 billion, $10 billion over the next 5 years. 140 places, that is 1,400, maybe? 140 places times 100 buildings, that is 14,000 spaces. So that is how many people we can actually hold on to for at least a couple of months while they're basically waiting for their detention to lapse over or to be released. So let's go ahead and increase our detention centers. That way we can get a hold on to the situation. Search of funding. Yeah, I know. Maybe we can hold an election in the next year or two. Let's CO2 emissions increasing. Budget deficit is on its way up. I actually have another idea here on how to get some money. This is actually something that apparently happened in the United States whenever we had this federal government shutdown, which if you're wondering why I haven't been here, it's probably because of the government shutdown. My money source went away. I'm just kidding. I don't get any government benefits. No, it's reason I've been gone is literally just because of personal reasons. I just haven't had enough time to do this, but I know you guys understand. It's really hard for me to look at my channel and just see how dead my views are. For some reason, the video that I made with a collab a couple of years ago about the 18th and 21st Amendments, apparently that video was actually my most viewed within the last couple of days. So interesting, to say the least. But other than that, let's go ahead and look at health. I want to legalize marijuana. So marijuana is it's a substance, basically. It's nothing different whenever it comes to alcohol and tobacco. Tobacco, it kills you over time. I mean, there's just no way about it. It's an addictive substance that can kill you over time. It builds up a lot of tar and everything like that in your lungs. Has a lot of adverse effects. They don't know the long-term effects of the consumption of marijuana at this point, but legally, it is just a strain on the system. Too many people are being locked up about it. It's probably one of the reasons why we're having an increase in our crime rate. Maybe there is a huge increase in the consumption of marijuana illegally. They're buying it from illicit sources. They're not getting it in a regulated market. We need to legalize it. That way we can at least have some type of system in order to regulate it and to tax it. It is going to be a booming industry in Australia, and if we support this industry, subsidies, exonerations, and immediately start taxing it as well, that will help us fundraise in order to pay for projects like infrastructure, for prisons, for everything like that. So that way we don't have to worry about the idea of, you know, oh, this green substance that grows out of the ground that is a naturally occurring substance. We can just regulate it, and then it's no different from alcohol and tobacco. So we're going to go ahead and start the process of decriminalizing and legalizing it. We're going to go ahead and just to try to straight up legalize this. This is going to be a long shot. Maybe we can get a referendum passed on it. If we can, that will make this a lot easier. So let's go ahead and see. People do not like it, and we need to put it into a reform in order to get it passed. Possession and consumption of independently regulated by locality. That means basically the states of Australia would support some type of law for them, or it's like banned in one place, not banned in another. We're gonna go ahead and do consumption independently regulated by locality. Now we're just gonna go for a straight legalization of it. Exoneration for private retirement schemes. Independent smoking. So smoking is apparently already there. Passive euthanasia tolerated or illegal. Could we get it into a reform with this? We apparently can, actually. So passive euthanasia means with consent from the patient or their family, stop intensive treatment, thereby causing the patient's death more or less rapidly. Administering painkillers to relieve the patient's pain may also shorten the patient's life and is also considered a form of passive euthanasia. Active euthanasia is distinct because it is an intentional act with the patient's consent, whose goal it is to cause his or her immediate death. What are you guys' thoughts on passive euthanasia? Why is he blue? Why is he... That is... I've never seen that he was blue in the past before. He's bro, that's literally Papa Smurf. Anyway, other than Papa Smurf dying on the picture behind us, let's go ahead and put this as a part of a reform, and we're going to throw in our marijuana legalization package on the way as well. Let's go ahead and call this the Common Sense Initiative on Health and Regulated Substances. I always call it something. I always like I don't know why. I like to name my reform something that would make sense. Common Sense Initiative on Health and Regulated Substances. Hit that, and let's go ahead and do our possession and consumption legal. We're going to put that as a part of the reform as well. Let's see where we're at on the reform. Let's go ahead and meet with our party, make sure that they are going to support our initiative here, and make sure that it is going to pass. We want this to pass because we are going to be able to tax billions of dollars. I'm telling you, billions of dollars off of this, which, by the way, cheat code is Morocco. If you've ever played as Morocco before, it's really funny because I legalized weed as Morocco once, and whenever I did that, I swear to God, I had a $50 billion industry in like 5 minutes. It was really funny. I am also gonna annex. I'm gonna annex the Canary Islands from Spain. Don't ask why. But I actually got Europa Universalis 5. I just went through the Black Death on there, and I'm playing as Castile, as Spain. And hilariously enough, by the way, I lost 50% of my population. Not fun times that I'm having in EU5. Next episode, this is like a really packed full episode. I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. Maybe this could actually get me back into making content for you guys. This 2.23% deficit is very much scaring me. That's... Okay, so 68, and approved. Approved. So, where are we at? Why is it costing me to do an exoneration? Normally this doesn't cost me anything. Setting the age for legal alcohol consumption. What about 21? Apparently not. Retirement age. Anytime I've ever tried to reduce that, maybe we could. 5, $1 billion. We have a pension apparently. I want to get that up to like $2,000 at some point. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the passage of our marijuana law, and then we'll go from there. All right, and we are past the deputy chamber, and in the Senate, we are behind 3-1, 16-11, 16-12, 21-15. 41-24, and 42-26. We just passed the Common Sense Initiative on Health and Regulated Substances, effectively making marijuana a legal sector in the Commonwealth. So very, very excited to see a new economic sector be legalized here. So we now see that it is an illegal sector. In a couple of days, we will now see that this will become a booming industry in the Commonwealth. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, and so we have the passage of that law. So let's go ahead and see what we have. Apparently there was 3 civil servants, a victim of poisoning. What could it be? Could it be that marijuana, as soon as it becomes legal, they end up getting poisoned? Who knows? I believe actually... Contact poison. Okay, yeah, apparently. I guess anthrax is what we're talking about. Physician-assisted suicide, right choice.
Aggressive therapy is an aberration and becomes barbaric when it condemns a human being to suffer in the name of respect for life, especially when it is against his or her consent. You have reminded us that we cannot live without dignity or hope.
Right, and then he's very supportive of it. Outraged. This law paves the way for legal murder by being completely disrespectful of human life. Prepare yourself for any unimaginable permutations of this law. Soon will be troublesome patients who are unplugged at their request. It is monstrous and we will not forget it. So apparently she is very unhappy about it, but she still likes me. Legalization of marijuana, off topic.
In the area of humanitarian emergencies, there were plenty of options. And what did you decide to do? Legalize marijuana? Is this how you want to uplift young people? Give hope to those who suffer and help the needy? This decision is inappropriate and dangerous, and it will only hurt your reputation.
Oh man, that is just such an old one right there. Consumption of marijuana and... Alright, and cannabis is now a restored economic sector here. So let's go ahead and immediately give it about $300 million worth of subsidies for the companies operating in the sector. And we're not going to tax it because we know this is going to be a booming industry. This is going to be an industry that is going to explode in popularity now that we have it legalized. What we need to do is that we need to fully nationalize. I wouldn't say fully nationalize. We could partially nationalize it. They can have different reasons for nationalizing, acquiring a strategic sector, securing jobs, or reaping the benefits of this sector, but all at the expense of a certain loss of profitability. The state acquires the shares of nationalized companies by taking them over several years. When privatizing the sale of the state's shares to private investors generates an immediate revenue windfall. I think what we're going to do is that we're going to nationalize it. Basically, this is the government coming in, regulating the industry, and as soon as we believe, maybe about a year or two after we believe that the industry is able to stand up on its own, once we see the profits that are coming in, unless it becomes a very big piggy bank for us, which I feel like it might, then at that point we can hand it off to the private sector and kind of go from there. So $360 million investment here. Let's go ahead and do it. So let's send this over to Parliament. And so Parliament should be pretty good about accepting that. And we're also going to go ahead and give it, let's say, $750 million subsidy then. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to start making our way to the end of the year, so I'm actually going to let it play. We're going to come back around in I would say middle of December at this point, and then we're going to see what happens to the marijuana industry, and then once that happens, I'm going to come back. We're going to introduce a tax on marijuana at that point. All right, so we have Christmas around the corner. Let's go ahead and say yes to this. So, fun thing that I noticed whenever I was watching the progress of this. So we started off. We're here with a $40 million sale amount, with $58 million being lost. We are down from $251 million being lost, so we are on our way up. Productivity index is still bad. We have 5,000 people that are working in the industry now, and prices are on their way down. What I noticed that I thought was really cool, normally this usually says, it'll say like various sectors in the industry. This actually popped up as a new industry. So this is like a company that actually came up, and this is like seriously like an actual company that just popped up out of nowhere. So that's actually really interesting to see that companies can pop up instead of it just being, you know, quote unquote various sectors in the industry or various companies in the industry. So I like that. I noticed whenever I was looking at them, I was looking at their net results. Basically, net results is the total amount of money that they are from their profits or their sales to their spending. So if it's negative, that basically means that they're spending more than they're making. Net results positive, they're making more than they're spending. Normally, whenever you see a company that's getting ready to fail, or that a company is really starting to hemorrhage money, you'll see that this was negative. Normally 5 to 10%, maybe 50%, you would say that that's actually pretty pretty bad. This was hemorrhaging 400% net results. So I gave it a $3 billion subsidy here. That way they can be supported. We're going to reduce these subsidies over time. So we're going to go, as they start to make more money, we're going to reduce it from $3 billion to 2.5, 200, or 2 billion, 1.5, 1, 500 million. And then we're just going to slowly kind of reduce their financial support as their company starts to increase in revenue. So that is not going to be $3 billion. They're going to be just giving the industry forever. We are going to, on a regulated basis, we are going to reduce those subsidies over time. Existential crisis.
You know, a certain concern I have on the subject of your political.
It's like my Minister of Finance doesn't like what I'm doing. Growth forecast 2.4%. GDP is up $50 billion. Really good episode today. Let's go to taxation, creation, and consumption tax on marijuana. Let's go ahead and do a $3 per gram. 15 cents. 15 cents per gram, and then we are gonna just increase it from there. I think a max we would do probably like a $5 tax. That's a lot, but we need to I wouldn't say we want to overly tax the industry, but we want to tax it. Let's go ahead and do 15-cent tax on the marijuana industry, and as the industry grows, we will increase that accordingly. Deficit is way worse than it was whenever we first started this episode today. We are toward the end of the quarter, as my normal episodes go. So I'm going to make sure, by the way, that whenever I make the next episode, it's not going to take me 2 months to do that. I will start to get these episodes out on a more normal basis. I've had a lot going on in my life. Like I said, I know I've said that in the last couple of episodes. But like I said, life does come first. I know you guys understand. And it does. 10,000 subscribers. I love doing YouTube. I don't want to stop doing it. It's very just difficult to justify it, especially whenever this doesn't bring in a lot of money to begin with. And I don't post enough to where, I can say, hey, go subscribe to my Patreon. I did have a pretty good amount of people that subscribe to my YouTube membership. I feel like if a lot of people were to subscribe to my YouTube memberships at the same time, I would feel more inclined to do it, especially if it was like a worthwhile amount. 30, even $50 a month, it really just doesn't justify it for me. So that's why. And it's not even a money thing. It's not, you know, it's not something, it would be really good. A lot of people are very lucky to have YouTubes that support them. I'm just not in that position. So that's why, like, this is just kind of like a secondhand thing for me.
The vote will be...
Huh? They rejected the tax? Huh. I guess we'll hold off on the tax for now. Interesting. Interesting to say the least. Alright, so it is the end of the year. Let's go ahead and see what we're dealing with in terms of debt and in terms of the economy. $44.7 billion cash surplus in the accumulation in the Treasury Reserve. We'll be accumulating an interest on this at 4.5% per year. For your reference, we have posted the amount of this Treasury Reserve on the budget and debt window. Unhealthy housing situation, 0.33%, and we are a model for many countries. And 1.61% growth in 2025, with our GDP at $1.859 trillion. And this is an average results. We must remain cautious and measure the consequences of our economic stability over the long term. So, yeah, good episode here. I really like it. I think I'm going to try to start moving to a 6-month format whenever I make these episodes, just that way that more gets done. A lot of time skips would be done in that case, but I think instead of doing it quarter by quarter, I feel like we don't have a lot of time passing here. I'm only in 2026 as of right now, and I just want to make sure that, you know, things are getting done and we're actually making a time passage here. I like how I just try to end this episode and all of a sudden a riot starts. But I'm going to go ahead and take care of this riot, so give me 1 second. All right, and then in the next episode, we are going to go ahead and focus on tourism. We're going to do a hard focus on tourism here. We're going to be increasing our events for the year as to come. And as well, we are going to be focusing more on maybe subsidies here, exonerations, maybe nationalize a sector or two, and we are going to focus on our state-sponsored constructions to make sure that we are able to offer good tourism opportunities in Australia. I have actually played with the events here, so Melbourne Film Festival, we actually made one, it looks like. $500 million subsidy here. We're going to have that in April. So very excited to see what we do there. But I do want to do, like, I would say 2 more international festivals. A lot of spending here. We have to start really aggressively lowering our deficit over the next 6 months. I would say in the next episode, we're going to start with the 6-month format. And so half a year with each episode, that would actually help us get a lot of progress done. But also, we are going to aggressively start to lower our deficit in the next episode as well. So very excited to see what we have to deal with then. Other than that, guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it to the channel. If you guys want to see more content like this, just let me know down in the comments below what you guys want to see. Looks like our cannabis industry is starting to suffer a little bit, but our profits are actually through the roof. So very interesting to see what's going to happen over the next 6 months with our cannabis industry. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this with me, and take care.